I still really like The Lord of the Rings, but reading the ending this closely is giving me more complicated thoughts than I expected. And at the same time, I finished the space opera I seriously underestimated, and I started the fantasy book that grabbed me almost immediately. So yeah, this was definitely a reading week with opinions. So I read the third quarter of The Return of the King this week. And this part is almost completely focused on Frodo and Sam in Mordor. And honestly, it went by quicker than I expected. Compared to some earlier parts of the trilogy, this section feels a lot more direct. There's not a lot of jumping around between storylines, and you're just following Frodo and Sam, step by step, as things get harder and harder. And because of that, the reading experience feels very focused. And what really stood out to me is how tired everything feels, in a good way. You feel the exhaustion, you feel how difficult even small things have become. And Tolkien really slows things down and makes you sit with it, but without it feeling boring. It also really feels like the end of the trilogy is starting. Even though I haven't finished the book yet, the big moment is already behind us. And now it's about seeing how everything turns out. So I didn't finish it yet, but I'm planning to read the final part next week. So I'm very close to wrapping up the whole trilogy. And that kind of feels like a moment. I also finished Shards of Honor by Lewis McMaster Bujold. And this one ended up being a really pleasant surprise for me. Going in, I didn't have huge expectations. I was hoping for something fun and readable. And that's exactly what I got, but it also ended up being better than I expected. This is very much a fast-paced space opera that just keeps moving. There's always something happening, but it never felt rushed or messy. It's the kind of book where you keep thinking, just one more chapter. The biggest strength for me was the characters. They're easy to like, easy to understand, and just fun to spend time with. And even when the plot slows down a bit, the character interactions keep things interesting. And surprisingly, the romance actually worked for me. Now, I don't always enjoy romance in science fiction or fantasy, but here it felt natural. It didn't take over the story, and it didn't feel awkward or forced. And by the end, I was just genuinely looking forward to continuing the series, which isn't something I expected going in. And next up, I started Daughter of the Empire by Raymond E. Feist and Jenny Wirtz. And I'm about halfway through it now. And this one hooked me pretty quickly. The basic idea is already great. It takes place on Calawan during the events of a magician. So basically in the world of the enemy. So you're following a completely different character and storyline. So if you've read Magician, it is fun to see that world from another angle. But even without that background, the story stands on its own. The main character is easily the highlight so far. She's smart, capable, and constantly having to think a few steps ahead. A lot of the tension comes from politics, social rules, and knowing how to play the system without getting crushed by it. So in the beginning her whole clan gets murdered, and so she ends up being the sole survivor, and on her own has to keep her family name alive. What I really like is that the book takes its time explaining how this world works, but it never feels like a history lesson. everything is shown through decisions and consequences, which makes it easy to follow. Yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this, and I'm definitely motivated to keep going. And looking ahead, my next read will be Mobilization by Yoshiki Tanaka, which is the 5th book in the Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And at this point, this series just feels very solid. Every book adds something, and none of them have felt like fillers so far. I recently read Stratagem, which I really enjoyed, and I also did a review on it last week. So I'm excited to see how Mobilization continues things. The political and military side of the story just keeps getting more interesting, and it feels like the series is slowly building towards something big. So yeah, very much looking forward to starting that. So yeah, overall, for me this was a really good reading week. Nothing felt like a struggle, and I didn't have to push myself through anything. I just picked up books, read them, and had a good time. And honestly, that's kind of the ideal situation. I'm finishing long-running series and starting new ones that feel fresh, and I'm slowly building a really satisfying reading rhythm. So yeah, that was it for this video. As always, let me know what you're reading, and I'll see you in the next update video.